The Department of International Relations in South Africa has confirmed that former and late 60th Republican President of Zambia, Dr. Edgar Lungu, will be buried in South Africa. Speaking in an interview with News Africa TV, spokesperson in the Department of International Relations in South Africa, Mr. Crispin Piri, emphasized that while South Africa acknowledges the need to have a former head of state buried in the country they served, at this point, South Africa as a nation was only legally bound by the wishes of the family to the deceased.
The purpose of Minister Lamula's visit to Lusaka to firstly share the country's condolences on the passing of President Lungu, and also to say that South Africa does acknowledge the importance of a nation burying their former president. However, at this stage, we are bound legally to follow what the family requires, and we would then have to leave it there with the family's obligations or the family's wishes. But this also comes on the back of us having legal obligations to honor the family's wishes as they are residents in South Africa. So that then comes with some attendant rights as well in terms of some various legislations that would apply in these processes. So that is where we stand on the matter. But it should not be seen in any way as us not wishing to respect the Zambian government's wishes or disrespectful to the Zambian nation as well.
And when asked on whether or not the funeral will be treated as a private funeral as announced by the family, or it will be treated as a state funeral owing to the fact that the person being buried is a former head of state, the spokesperson to the Department of International Relations had this to say.
Normally, official funerals come with other obligations of the state. For example, the flag that is required to be placed on a coffin would normally be the South African flag, and our military would salute the flag and hand over such a 100%. Flag to the mourner. In this instance, because it would be a foreign head of state, that would be unprecedented for our military officials to be saluting a flag that is not of the sovereign state. So there are those complications. And we would be really looking at how our policy would apply. Normally it would apply to a very particular domestic setting. This is entirely, completely unprecedented. And even the categorization of an official funeral is done normally for someone who has served the nation. And it's a sense of fitting of someone who has served the nation. In this instance, it would be a bit difficult to look at it in that same light. Sure. But of course, we do understand that this is a former head of state. So I think there would be those sensitivities at place. But sitting here right now, I cannot categorically say what and how this would then take place.
On Sunday, 22nd of June 2025, after being paid a courtesy call by the Minister of International Relations and Cooperations of South Africa, Mr. Lamola, President Hakainde Hichilema reaffirmed government's position to have the remains of President Edgar Lungu repatriated and buried in Zambia.
Our wish has been very clear that we would like the mortal remains of President Lungu, our sixth president, to be buried in his home country, Zambia, and not in any other country.
Earlier today, pictures and videos of various prominent politicians and religious leaders were flooded on various social media pages showing their arrival at the funeral home in South Africa. With everything seemingly set for the burial of late Republican President Edgar Lungu in South Africa, at this point, Zambians only await to see on whether or not government shall be present or represented at the burial of the late 60th Republican President of the Republic of Zambia in South Africa. My name is Kazungo Emmanuel Ndea, also known as Kendumbo, and this highlight was brought to you courtesy of One Expert.